Hey guys, so today I thought I'd do something a bit different. I hear on YouTube there's such a thing as a top 10 Tuesday. Whether or not that I actually post this on a Tuesday, but I'm going to do a top 10 of something. The top 10 in question is my top 10 favourite secondary characters in film. I adore secondary characters. I don't know if it's because you can think up more of a backstory for them, because they're not the focus of attention, that they're the ones with the best lines, or sometimes I have to say some of my favourite secondary characters because some of my favourite actor or actresses are playing them. So here are my top 10 favourite secondary characters. And by the way, this is in no particular order. First up we have Julia in Mission Impossible 3. Julia is Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise's fiancée, and she is in the medical profession, and she is just so cool. Okay, to start with, she doesn't know that Ethan is a spy and he's trying to give it up, but unfortunately for her, she gets caught up in everything and is held hostage. But in the end, she saves Ethan's life, and she is so cool. Like, there's people shooting at her, she manages to give Ethan CPR and use defibrillators on him, as well as shooting a goon dead. It probably helps that she's played by Michelle Monaghan, who I absolutely adore. But no, Julia is just really cool, and if ever I was thrown into a situation such as hers, I hope I could act like her. While she was freaking out, which is understandable, when it came down to it, she could totally be cool and calm and just get on with it and help Ethan out. Characters numbers 2 and 3 are in Michael Bay's Transformers movies. And I know, yes, you know, Michael Bay Transformers. The characters in question are Eeps and Lennox, two of the soldiers that get caught up in everything are in the 3 films. Eeps and Lennox are played by Tyrese Gibson and Josh Dunahull. Something like that. Sorry, Josh Dunahull. My favourite scenes throughout the whole of the Transformers films are the ones with them in it, and I especially adore the scenes from the first film in the desert. One with the scorpion type Decepticon. That's my favourite thing ever. They're both funny but capable and good men, and I just adore them. I really like them, and they are my favourite things about these movies. Jonathan Callahan in the Mummy trilogy, except there's no 3rd film, it's just 2 of them. He is super funny, he loves his sister, he is me. I think if there is a character like in film, it's Jonathan Callahan, that's me, because he acts like I would. He can be a bit greedy, but at the same time he'd do anything for his family, and he's not much of a fighter, but he still helps out when he can, and he's like a trickster and a bit of a thief, but I love him. He is my favourite thing about the 2 films, because even though it says trilogy, there's no 3rd film. Person number 5 is Agent Coulson for the Marvel Universe. Okay, he's holding 2 films he was in. He is just, I love how his character arc has progressed over the films, and I love the sort of story about it, how he was just supposed to be like, just popped into Iron Man because Jon Favreau knew him and knew he was a bit of a comic book geek, and then his whole story has grown through Iron Man 2, Thor and Avengers, and now he's getting his own TV show, and I just love it, and I think he's just, I love his sort of deadpan sense of humour, and how he's kind of a quiet badass. And yeah, the Avengers, I was rather upset at what happened in that film. I don't know if it's classed as a spoiler anymore, because there's a whole internet campaign that was hashtag Coulson lives. But yeah, I remember sitting in the cinema, eyes wide, being like, this can't be happening. And my best friend who sat next to me was just looking at me and kind of comfortably patting me on the shoulder. Not as bad a reaction as my mother when she saw it in the cinema. She actually sounded no in the middle of the cinema. But yeah, Agent Coulson, I love him a lot. He's just so cool, and I can't wait to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Riley Poole from the National Treasure movies. Okay, you can say he's like part of the trio, but he's always pushed to the side, like when Nicolas Cage and Diane Kruger come along. Riley Poole is just so cute. Helps that he's played by Jason Bartha, who's also really cute and adorable. Okay, he's not as smart on history as Ben is, but he knows and helps out when it counts. And he has some of my favourite lines and his reactions to stuff, and I love the fact that he wears like a suit but with Converse. And yeah, he's just really cool and I love him. Darcy Lewis from Thor. Oh, Darcy is so cool. She's an original character to the Marvel Universe. Darcy, she's just so funny and clever, and she cares about Jane and other people, and just her and Thor. She's not afraid to stand up for herself. Like, she tases Thor, which, you know, who sees that in a movie? because he was freaking her out, so she tased him, which is perfectly understandable. And I'm looking forward to seeing her back and seeing how her relationship with Thor and Jane and Selvig have all changed over the course of what's happened in the Avengers and Thor. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Thor the Dark World. Lola from District 13, or Banjo of Trez if you say the French version. Lola is Leto's sister, who's one of the main characters, and she goes through some pretty horrible stuff, but at the same time she's really cool, and she doesn't, when she gets kidnapped, she doesn't go without a fight, and she trusts her brother so much, and I love their relationship. Lots of bad stuff has happened to her, but she is still kind of going strong, and I wish she'd been in the second one, but no, Lola is awesome. Nick Memphis from this one, Shooter, because I have a little Mark Wahlberg collection. Yeah, Nick Memphis from Shooter. He is a FBI, CIA agent. Well, he kind of ends up caught up in an accident. He just happens to be down the street when Mark Wahlberg's running away. He starts out a really Weasley character, but he ends up helping Mark Wahlberg's character. Yeah, he's kind of scared, but he's not. He just doesn't believe what the kind of corrupt higher-ups are saying. He kind of has his own mind and just turns out to be quietly awesome. And finally we have Connie from Unstoppable. God, I love this movie so much. She is like one of the only people that talk sense in this movie. She's one of the kind of controllers, and she's telling the bosses of this runaway train that's kind of like a missile the size of the Chrysler building, like, look, we need to do it now when they're in fields, not when it's going to be in a like populated area. They won't listen to her, and at the end she helps Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, and she ends up getting the boss's job because she was the only one talking sense. So yeah, they are my top 10 favourite secondary characters in film. Let me know if you have the same sort of feelings for secondary characters that I do, if you find them sometimes more interesting than main characters. And if so, tell me your favourite secondary characters and what you think of my favourites. Yeah, so let me know what you think, and do all the usual YouTube stuff of liking, commenting and subscribing, and I will see you next time. I lied. I think if I was a character, I'd be a mixture. If any character represents me, I'd be a mixture of Darcy Lewis and Jonathan Canhan. Because, yeah.